Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here's my watch list for April 29th. Okay, only 3 tickers on main watch for tomorrow. I do have some side watch tickers, so let's get right into it. Let's bring in the futures right now. The futures, right here it says it's gapping up by 16 points. That's, let me think. That's like 16 cents, I believe. In accordance to SPY, I mean, doesn't really matter. I mean, if you look at this pattern right here, this 29.3980s, right? The previous high, and let's bring in the SPY right now. It basically looks exactly the same. It's just closing right above these highs over here. So it's around this area right now, and what I want to see is the SPY open, test this prior highs here. Let's mark it off, I guess. Yeah, around the 293 area, and then look for a bounce to see a continuation. So once again, let's take a look at the futures. So you see this pattern. This is where the highs were, right? And then let's take a look at the SPY. Same thing, okay? At the close, we had like this little curl, and the SPY, the futures, this little curl. So it's sitting exactly where it was, literally. So no change in my opinion. What I want to see, dip out of gates, hold this 293 area, and bounce from there. Or we'll have to see. If it doesn't hold, snaps, then it comes right back down, and then 293.46, 34 here. Okay, so that would relate to 60 cents drop from 293. So right about here, 292.5. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at on the SPY. I don't have a particular sentiment on it yet because I really don't know. I have no idea why the SPY is ripping. I don't know the catalyst or anything like that. So I have no particular sentiment on the SPY. It looks bullish. That's all I can say. Okay. StarBucks main watch list. Okay, let's load up some drawings here real quick. SBUX. If you haven't already, today I made a trade recap on StarBucks from Friday. So go on ahead and check that out in my channel, the most recent video I just made. I did talk about price discovery and talk about these 2 trades here. As you can see, the drawings are still on. Okay, so StarBucks, I am still holding a lot overnight to swing 1 tier, and my average is 77.05. So what I want to see is the way StarBucks closed so well, I want to see it gap up, okay, or basically hold above the 77.10, 77 area. Okay, as long as it holds, then if it dips and holds again, then I might add in. If it gaps up, then I might sell a little bit and then wait for the dip, profit take around the 78, and then look for another hold around 77.50, and then add some more. My main target is the $80 area. Okay, so yeah, basically kind of like a 3-to-1 risk reward, right? If I'm risking 77 over under, then I'm aiming for $80. So that's StarBucks. ROKU, very, very interesting for the, let me see if I can bring up the daily chart. There's the daily chart. Okay, so ROKU, very interesting chart over here on the daily chart. It basically broke out of its prior selling range here of the $60 area. Okay, and it also broke out this key range area around $60 to 62. So if you draw like a box here, you'll see we are breaking out right now. Okay, I want to see the stock hold above 62 tomorrow for continuation. Now, for the stock closed so well on its highs, I am anticipating a gap up. At the end of the day, it basically reclaimed 63 and it's actually a breakout of 63. So I am expecting either a gap up, dip and rip, or open flat, dip and hold around the 63, 60. 250 area, and then ride back up. A lot of shorts piled in on Roku, and I am anticipating a squeeze. Roku is announcing earnings on May 8th, so in about 10 days, I believe. On the daily chart, you see this downtrend line matching very well, and it links to around the 68 area. Okay, so if it continues squeezing tomorrow, I mean, let's pull out one more day, probably around the 67.50 is the target. Okay, right around here, 67.50. Roku really likes psychological numbers here. This red candle, it's basically the open 67.50s. Okay, so this massive dump candle, so it looks like it's wanting to get back up and over. As long as 62.50 holds, then I do like it for the long, as well as 63. And then we have the main support area at 62 as well. Okay, so basically, overall, if I'm just looking on the day, this was a breakout of 62 and breakout of this prior range here. Once it got above 60, it was, and then it consolidated. Basically, it was straight up. Now, Roku has the ability to squeeze a lot, so I am looking for a more upside here. Okay, so that's Roku, another main play. Finally, we have Microsoft MSFT. Let's load up some drawings real quick here. Microsoft. Now, Microsoft had earnings a couple of days ago, and it was a positive reaction. Every time I load up the drawings, this box is still here out of place. So let's put this box back on. This box I used, basically it was for the support area right there. Now, this was the earnings spike, and then the next morning it gapped up again, and then it basically sold off and started coming down. And as you can see, it held this support level. On Friday, it tested the support level at 129 again and made a higher low. Okay, so a higher low, and it's now still rounding up. And also we see a double bottom, so right here. So this is a double bottom right here in comparison to around here. So very bullish patterns here. Overall, the earnings reaction was good. We see people buying into earnings, hence the pull down. 130 is very key, in my opinion. The way the stock closed so well around the 130 and reclaimed the 129, right? It basically dropped off under 129, and then on Friday it reclaimed 129 and started ripping. So I want to see 129 hold. It needs to hold for this to rip, and if it dips a little bit in the morning, I want to see 129 hold, get long, anticipating the breakout of 130. If it gaps up over this 130 area tomorrow, right, I want to see it hold on 130 and then ride it long. It does look like it's about to break. Previous day's open 130.06. So if it gets up and over, then we could get a little squeeze here, because as this profit taking day happened, short sellers piled in. Okay, and from here, I think the shorts are still piled in. I mean, looking at this coming down here, and yeah, they could still be piled in here. So we'll see. If it breaks out above 130, we could get a little squeeze and a push up to 131, 132s, test the previous highs. Okay, so that's Microsoft, and that's basically it for my main watch list. I want to talk about LYFT as a side watch here. LYFT, very interesting chart over here. If I zoom out on a 1 hour, the 30-minute, and the 5-minute, most likely on the 1 hour actually, and the 30-minute. Yeah, the 30-minute looks good. Okay, so I want to note this downtrend line. Okay, from the IPO, it sold off, came back up for a retrace. hit a top, sold off again, now came back up for a retrace. Nice downtrend that it's following. Okay. Now, if I'm just going to use this trend line, it looks like it's going to want to test this 58 area. And from there, I'm looking for a sell-off. Now, what I also want to note that is that on Friday, it snapped under 55, but quickly reclaimed. But this is actually a lower low in compared to the previous low, right? So this is a prior lows. Okay, so it does look like the trend is still, this downtrend is still intact. What I want to see is it rejects the 58 area, 58 to 58.50, and bring it right back down. I think the sell-off is also due to Uber. On Friday filed its first registration SEC filing talking about their IPO pricing. And Uber is looking to price themselves at $44 to $50. Now, in comparison, Uber has a lot more market share in the ride-hailing service than Lyft. It's basically Lyft's major competitor, right? So if Uber is valuating themselves even lower than Lyft did, they basically saw what happened to Lyft. I think people are anticipating and trying to get out of the shares of Lyft and then get into Uber, because that's a way better price or way better deal if I'm to get into ride-hailing service stock, right? If Uber is going to open at 50, there's no way, in my opinion, that Lyft should be trading higher than 50 or trading higher than Uber, just because Uber is a better company fundamentally than Lyft. It has more market share in the sector itself. So yeah, so I do think Lyft is going to continue to come down, bring it down to 50 in the long term, perhaps, you know, $40 maybe. Looking for a short entry swing here. As long as this 58.50s area holds resistance, then I do like it for the short. Okay, so that's a side watch. Facebook is also a side watch here. Facebook had earnings a few days ago, and it had a massive pop, right? So it basically sold off the next 2 days on profit take. Interestingly about Facebook, like I used the fibs to plot out a swing high here, and because I was lazy and I was looking at the levels here, this 192 was very key for the past few days. Okay, as you can see, it matches very well. The golden ratio, the 50% here, is at 188.75, so it actually kind of tagged it. And I think, to me, I think it looks like it's kind of bottoming out here. On Friday, we did see it bottom out and started forming higher highs, right? Sorry, higher lows. And it looks like a ascending triangle right now. Now, I think whether the stock is ready to rip again, we don't know, but I am watching for the 192 reclaim. So if it reclaims 192 and hold, then I do think all these short sellers, they're gonna have their asshole puckered up, and they might cover, causing a squeeze back up and back up for the next runs. We'll see. It might just consolidate and stay under 192 tomorrow, and keep failing, and perhaps pull back down to this 187 area. We don't know yet, but I want to see it get over 192 first before I get interested in Facebook. Okay. And tomorrow I'll be watching earnings pre-market. Before the market open, we have Spotify, so that's going to be a good side watch as well. And that's basically it for my watch list this evening. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Ciao.